We're coming up on Jyuohger's finale, finally. As much as I've been liking the show, I still feel they have really been dropping the ball with this whole Yamato's father story arc as it's been the last few episodes in my rage at it in these previous videos, and they put it to rest here and they completely dropped the ball. I mean, you don't get over that kind of anger with just a few words or a muttered apology, or making Yamato feeling he's at fault for not understanding his mother's words about people all being connected, and that what he was agonizing over last time. When, as I've said, this relationship is broken. His father made no attempts to connect to or mend to his relationship. And this episode further emphasizes how much that even when his father was around, his father didn't do anything. And they're still trying to emphasize that Yamato is exactly like his father, when, from the evidence of the series itself, that could not be further from the case. Seriously, have you been watching your own frickin' show with how Yamato actively goes out of his way to care for and connect to and be involved in the lives of those around him, where his father was literally never there for him even when he was there? You could not be more diametrically opposed, and yet the episode is still insisting that they have developed into the same person. And seriously, where the hell have you been, Junko Komura, to even emphasize that kind of action in this storyline for putting it to rest? Because it's not there. I actually went back and looked at a few episodes this week on top of, the Ninja Steel video and getting that out in literally under 2 days. And it technically released on the third day, but I really, that was just 2 days work and almost 30-minute video and all that scripting and editing. And yeah, I am pretty kind of high-strung on this when I can be, but yeah, I went through a bunch of the older story arc episodes, and there's nothing for this. There's literally nothing in the show that justifies this kind of character flaw, character arc, character journey for him over it, especially with regards to the Bangray arc, which more fleshed him out, established Yamato's grounding for this. So I seriously don't know what they're using to validate his father's statements, everyone else's statements about what was going on, because honestly, if I was Yamato, I wouldn't want that man in my life either. And I tend to be a bit more spiteful than some people with this kind of stuff, because you have had, what did they say, 10, 15 years to actually confront him over this, being a moral avoid the moral cowardice on this, and yet Yamato's not really running away from it like his father's been. The issue is dead to him. He doesn't want to be around this person. He didn't want to fix the relationship because there was nothing to... it is a broken relationship, so there is something to fix, but he's not the one that has been avoiding it for all this time. It's been his father that did that, and they don't actually make him apologize for it, which I really think is the ultimate issue where they drop the ball here. They don't actually... It's Yamato that apologizes to him, and his father just accepts it, and I'm like, what the hell were you people on? Because, it's not always the kid's fault in this. It really is not. So, what are you trying to teach, is what I keep cycling back to. And you know what? I would have given them a bye had they kind of just more confronted this, but it's kind of just like hand-waved away to get to the Genis battle, and that's disappointing because there was recognition from Amu... excuse me. There's recognition from Amu that she likely screwed up in forcing the issue last time, and she did. And there was a good moment with Misao saying that just because they get that moment together doesn't mean everything is automatically fixed, which, again, is proof that other people that, had they gotten the chance to weigh in on this, would have shown that this was a bad plan to begin with. And it was. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of it with the whole father thing, and I have not seen a good series drop the ball so badly with a final story character arc since Mega Ranger. And admittedly, I only did Mega Ranger, 2 years ago? But my point for it still stands that they've done better than this. It's like, you bring this up at the end of the series, and then you don't really give it the proper time. And admittedly, that's been Sentai the last few years. You do stuff, but you don't really give it the time to fully flesh it out, or you're provided evidence to the contrary of it in the story itself, so I don't even know where to go with that. But yeah, Genis battle. Lots and lots of gifs. The robot minions of Genis. Trolling around as he used... I like what they did with the Sagittarius arc here, where they actually used its strong bow form to launch the arrow that is the main body of the ship into the planet to inject Genesis cells. That actually, to me, is a full payoff for the silly look of the entire ship that they've been using. And you know what? It kind of makes sense, since using the line they were using to inject Genesis cells into the planet, that's probably how their ship destroys planets, kills the native races of other planets they've destroyed, and then just retract the arrow tip back up and go on to another place. That's perfect sense to me. Admittedly, with the actual vast scale and size of it, it's a bit ridiculous, but hey, yeah, you had to justify using the final combination mech and not having it being able to destroy the line so easily. Though that ends up being kind of defeated with how it literally pulls the ship down using the tether just from the group's powers combined. It's kind of a give and take thing. It's a cool visual, but it seems like the ship doesn't have much other use aside from that. It seems like less of a good set piece is what I'm saying, since we only saw really 2-3 rooms in the place. Though I guess its size would accommodate all the minions we've been seeing. I'm going back and forth on this thing. So yeah, next time, final battle with Genis. Hopefully that will be good, considering how he's been built up to is insanely uber powerful, but we know Yamato's getting a new form for that, so we'll see how that goes. X-Side. Kagami's a jackass. Like, literally a jackass in believing Taiga to not tell Emu about his own game syndrome, and the justification, well, it will stress him out. But, the only things he's never seen... I'm continuing my point from last time. He's never seen stressed when treating a patient. It's only when conflicts arise in treating that patient, do things go weird. So what I'm thinking of is that they're operating on this fallacy to incite conflict between the doctor writers when it doesn't need to be, and also keeping that secret, all of which annoys me immensely, since evidence in the series contradicts their assertion that telling Emu about his game syndrome will cause him to permanently go game syndromed. But at least it's an ongoing disorder with Emu, thanks to the Mighty Brothers Gashad, in that he's still having the headaches that are the symptom to his syndrome now, so that will probably be coming to a head sooner or later. While trying to next strike at Kagami, he lies to Emu's face about his reasons for attacking him, saying that he just gotten too irritated about how Emu cares about the patients over treating the illness, but it really sounds Hippocratic now, because if Kagami really was prioritizing the operation over the thoughts of the patient, then he would have told Emu what was going on with him, since, hey, before needing to perform an operation on a patient, you need to inform them of it because so they can give medical consent. And this has been a thing they've been following with all the Bugster incidents as well, so it's a contradiction. He's showing how he's not the genius doctor that they're emphasizing on if he's breaking down on this obvious element of medical care, but again, it's for the sake of the story, and as I keep saying in many of my videos, unjustified conflict between characters is not a good thing. But at least there's some karma for this, in that Kagami trying to go after Emu like this leads to him losing his ga shots when Dan next comes after them when they're dealing with the... I'm forgetting the specific Bugster's name, the military one. I'm forgetting his name completely. Where was I going with this? But yeah, he loses his ga shots as Emu figures out who Nico is. Genius Gamer N, Emu's previous rival back 6 years ago, when she first burst onto the stage at age 12, and now, 6 years later, at 18, she is a professional gamer who earns 100 million yen a year, aka $1 million in US currency, so she's hit it big. But she's so petty a person that her one loss against this guy who retired is enough to create a lifelong obsession. How immature do you think people who are gamers actually are? I mean, yeah, I know I tend to be very emotionally involved in the process because, hey, it's something you're supposed to enjoy. If you're not enjoying it, it's a bad product. But, most of I try to be more critical with my dealing of such, so it doesn't really seem I try to not make it all come off as the immature ramblings of someone who didn't get what they wanted or whatnot. It's even though that I admit that is part of it. I'm saying that she's acting like a child when that's not really professional gamers. That's the jackasses you hear over voice chats, which admittedly there are awful juvenile people who do that, but usually not on the professional level like that. I'm admittedly not an expert because I don't watch a lot of professional gaming. The best I'm tapped into is one of my friends has gotten into the professional gaming, I don't want to say commentary, but kind of news-ish stuff. I really need to check out some of what he's doing with that. But it's still not the same thing. There still seems to be more respect for other high-level players in that, which this Nico's character seems to be contradicting. She seems like more of the generic jackasses that act like jackasses because they're not actually good at the game. The classic NOB noob, who like trolling or troll tactics and don't actually intend to get good at what they play. Though kind of an oddity with how Namco Bandai has been tied into this, the game they showcase Nico and M playing against in the flashback to 2010, 2011, they're playing Tekken 7. This was pointed out by Aldo the Fox on of the Tokupedia sites, and he took a look at the footage, and one of the characters they were using was first used in Tekken 7, and Tekken 7 has come out since then, so they would have needed to use Tekken 6, but this character was not in Tekken 6, so it's kind of, when did this actually take place kind of situation. I mean, it's the most recent game of the series, so obviously there's some cross-promotional advertisement there, but timeline-wise, it doesn't make sense, and considering they got the Wonder Swan in the early episodes for all this, you would think this would be a detail the makers of the show would be more aware of, since they're inserting the game reference with the actual game. It's odd. Still, nonetheless, they treat Nico's game syndrome, so she's out of danger, but she's still sticking around as Taiga's sidekick, despite her having absolutely no use in the series now. Or ever. It's obviously it was there to explore more of Emu's past as a previous gamer, and obviously the recent exposition about him being patient zero for game syndrome was important, but for the overall show, she's not doing anything. Nor do I think she will be doing anything that will prove to be an asset for it. So I'm wondering why they don't just shove her off the series now that we have this little story arc done with, and we can actually focus on the characters that need more exploration, need more non-caustic exploration, maybe going back to the Kagami's girlfriend thing to more explain why he acts like he does, because as I keep going back to the early show, they really rushed a lot of that, and they really shouldn't have. So it's now feeling the show's a lot more empty, and admittedly that helps with the pacing a lot, but well, for example, next week they're going to start using level 4 Gashots, which are literally coming out of nowhere, which just begs the question of why they're adding in these things when you could have slowed down the pace of the stories and, not needed to fill time with senseless crap at this point, since you've wasted a lot of opportunity to actually exposing us to the characters. Seems to be a recurring problem with my critiques, but whatever. It's modern Toei, where they seem to be less emphasizing that. On the other hand, actually, is there anything else I need to say about XI before I move on? Oh, Snipe using the full armor Dragonite Hunter gear. That was very nice, and shows that it's not just XI that's going to be getting all of them together. And I liked how Taiga made full use of the Dragonite's finishing moves to show us more of how Genom is literally immortal now, thanks to what he did to himself to create the dangerous zombie, as he almost atomizes Genom with the Dragonite's finishing move, and yet he just regenerates to looking pristine. And so I'm curious now how they're going to... Well, it's obvious it's going to be a three-way free-for-all between Genom, Paradox, and Xide due to some of the spoiler stuff, but how much of a power difference will there be between Genom and Paradox, where, despite damage not affecting him, will there be a point where Genom can't take the abuse, even with the dangerous zombie Gasha making him immortal? Is his bugged out state that powerful? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Zero Dragon Blood. We're finally getting the story moving. Thank you. With, need to find the guy's name. Adele, the Dragon Knight, finally going after the Dragon Egg. And Rekka, from Red Requiem, Makai Senki onwards, coming in and revealing she's now a Makai priest of the Senate, meaning she's got a promotion. She's helping people through the Senate activities, and she's partnering with Rei to take care of the dragon egg since Kagame's brother, being an idiot, woke him up. Now, there's some good points and bad points from this. They actually managed to seal the dragon egg, but the cage it's sealed in, instead of having Rekka's handprint locking it, Alice comes in and follows Rei to the resting ground of the egg, and is nearby in the fight, and somehow knows how to seal it. What the hell? It's like, how does she know this? She obviously knows about the dragon egg. She obviously has some type of Makai priest or Makai knight or some type of booklet on this. She must be further involved in this, and not the innocent girl that the story is trying to lead us that she is, since she has all this knowledge she shouldn't have. But it's not exactly following from point to point. It's like she acts innocent one moment, and then conniving and aware of things the next. So, it's not contiguous characterization is kind of my problem with her. Since half of her actions seem like accidents, half of it seem like it's pre-planned. Like, you obviously know that she has the intent from the way they choreograph her placing her handprint on it, like she's slamming her hand onto it, like she knows what that will do to lock the cage to her, so only she can open it to unseal the egg, and all that. So it seems like she knows what she's doing, instead of it being an accident, like, say, what happened with Kaoru in the original Garo, which seemed to be how they were doing, starting this off with. It seemed, with her more innocent actions, it seems like they were trying to echo a bit, but it doesn't seem... to me, it's not working, because I feel like I'm onto some bigger picture with her. I don't know at this point. Adele the Dragon Knight. Damn, he is strong. Admittedly, Zero is... he's kept pretty even pace with Koga throughout their timeline of the series, and I just got done watching, I forget the name of the movie every time, Sakoku no Mario, for upcoming review, so I know he's considered one of the strongest knights of his era, so for Adele to leave him on the offensive, even with Rekka backing him up in battle, that is pretty impressive. His actual armor, it looks like a mix between Makai armor and a horror, kind of like what Jenga had in Goldstorm. What's making me have concerns is like the teeth, the drawn back look of all the teeth, where it doesn't really look like dragon fangs, like it's not serrated edges, but more humanish molars. I don't know if that's due to how they did the merging to call upon the power of the dragons with that kind of thing, but it's an odd detail to it. Adele also shows himself to have kind of dragon-like powers, kind of like some horrors do, in that they can call upon their other side's abilities even when they're in their humanish form. One of the notable ones was a kind of tentacle coming out of his back, like right below, not exactly below, but in the middle of his ribcage, which we kind of see come out of his back when he equips the armor. So is that like the same type of manifestation? Is his armored form a mix of his enhancements being manifested and just the armor being like a scale hide for him? Because it's definitely different enough from the Makai armors we've seen to pretty much be kind of the same concept, and since it's supposed to predate the creation of the Makai armors, I could see them being developed from similar elements, where hell, the Dragon Knights might have even helped them dismember. No, wait, that wouldn't work with how. That wouldn't work with how they describe the creation of Makai armors before. Ugh. But yeah, from what they're showcasing of Adele and his dragon armor, I definitely see how they've described him as kind of the precursor to the Makai Knights kind of thing. Especially since he seems to have the same type of limitation that normal Makai Knights do, in that they can only keep their armor equipped for so long. But while Makai Knights can only use it for 99.9 seconds, is because otherwise it risks soul corruption, because the Makai armors are made from they're derived from horrors. I'm wondering why Adele would have a similar time limitation if he's calling upon and partnered with the power of a dragon. I'm curious where they're going with that, or if it's just a chivalry kind of thing, even though, the Dragon Knight is trying to slaughter everybody, so what's the purpose of having chivalry if you're just going to murder everybody, is my question. Overall, this is definitely I'm glad they did the fillers first before shooting straight into this, but it still feels like they wasted time by not addressing a bit of this before the Wham episode. Like, fleshing out Alice a bit more so she's not so mysterious, or other setting pieces, or showing not dragging out the whole Dragon Egg thing in the background. Maybe consolidated into an episode after the setup pieces. I don't know. Maybe the serialization of the story has always been an issue with Garo, and that seems to be a consistent thing here as well. I think that's all I got for this week, so I'll see you all next time.